Well, thank you for doing this. Seriously, I got to go back and rewatch like all my favorite Ravi moments, and I wanted to kind of take a dive with you back and then preview what we're going to see in the new season.
Perfect. Let's do that. Let's do it.
So during the early episodes, Buck had picked Ravi to fill his shoes. I really loved that storyline. I thought it was one of my favorites of the entire series. Now they're partners. What sticks out to you about how their dynamic has evolved since that point, since Ravi came? And how do you think they balance each other now as partners?
Really good question. I really feel like, to use Star Wars as an example, it was very much like an Anakin Obi-Wan style relationship, you know? Obviously Oliver being Obi-Wan and just kind of being that mentor figure and pushing Robbie's buttons whenever he kind of needs to, because he's obviously the character's going through his own sort of situation. And now I think, especially in the latest seasons, Ravi has grown to a point where he can kind of be a peer to Buck, you know, be a shoulder to kind of lean on, which I think is really powerful. I think everything that that character has gone through, he's there to kind of fill that void and be some level of moral support for this family. Yeah.
I love that. And we found out Ravi has childhood cancer and spent a lot of time in hospitals getting chemo. Hen makes a comment when that conversation is happening about him becoming a firefighter to pay it forward. Do you think that's accurate? And how do you think he kind of landed on that career choice?
I definitely think that's accurate. Being a fireman, any civil servant, right, it's a selfless career. Whether it's a fireman, an EMT, a policeman, all those sorts of things. And I think in Robbie's mind, it was the one thing that he knew that he could actively be changing lives.
Yeah.
And not to say that that's not the only career that could do that, but it was a tangible way for him to see, okay, this is someone that I can directly impact. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's exactly what he wanted to do. And even when he does that like off-duty Long Beach save, right, it impacts him so much. But at the end of the day, he's just trying to kind of keep that message alive that Hen had told him. Yeah.
And what is your favorite part about getting to start with your character as a probie and then growing him into being part of the 118 officially? Because we obviously in between had that, like him going back to the academy, that chapter, and just
Yeah.
him landing now with his family.
I mean, I think it's amazing. He was just kind of a B shift probie, just a random guy, and he grew into this fireman that has layers and depth and like is part of an integral team where things can't be done without him, and he wouldn't want to do things without being there. And so I think that dynamic has really grown, and I can't wait to explore more of that in the coming seasons. I think as an actor specifically, it's awesome as well because you know it was just kind of, whether it's luck, whether it's what I brought to the table, whatever it may be, there was no initial kind of, oh yeah, this character's going to grow. It just, I did a day as Proby, and then suddenly it just kind of built upon that, and I kept coming back, and that's Hollywood.
You became a fan favorite so quickly, and it's no surprise.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we're so glad that you're here, and
Thank
we're
you.
crossing our fingers that you're going to be a main very soon. We're all rooting for that, just so you know.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
going off of that, kind of what you said about not knowing that this was going to be a reoccurring character, that you were going to come back and kind of grow with the character. When you get a role like that, do you kind of do background work, or at what point do you start doing background for the character to be like, well, this might be not be on the page, but this is how I'm thinking of him?
Sure. Initially when I got it, I was just kind of in that one scene, and I wasn't stressing too much about it because I felt like it would be diminishing returns. But once they started bringing me back and I had a name and everything associated with it, that's when I did start doing work. So in the early seasons, definitely, I've got a bunch of journals just filled with like what he was doing, what his life leading up to it, the past 5 years, past 10 years, that sort of thing. Where he wants to go, his likes, dislikes, all those sorts of this, the character building information that you put out. And then after a certain time, it just kind of becomes rote and it's just kind of ingrained in you. But definitely, yeah, in the early days, you definitely have to do that. I think just in order to kind of fill the shoes as well and like really embody a character.
With scripts and with seasons go by, you get little pieces of the puzzle for your character and new bits of information. Was there a piece of the puzzle where you were like, oh, okay, this can fit here, or oh, this is really interesting, and I can play off of that?
The landlord thing, I wasn't really. It took me by surprise because I was like, "Oh, okay, that's an interesting angle." But it's cool. It's funny, right? I mean, it definitely like it adds a layer of complexity to this character of like, who is he really?
What
So,
is he doing when he leaves the station?
right, right. Tip your landlords, as they always say. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
In a show like this, going off of that, there are a lot of comments we get purely because of the situation that the characters are currently involved in that moment.
Yeah.
If you had the choice, what is one piece of dialogue that you would have liked to go back to and expand on, or see come back in a future storyline to actually make a full storyline out of?
There's I mean, to do a callback to it, that I think it would be very powerful if they fleshed out or showed a flashback of Robbie trying to save those kids in Long Beach. I think that would be it'd be very sad, it'd be very, very, very sad. But I think it would kind of show his growth, from being a probie to that point where he's kind of single handedly doing all of this. Um, yeah, that's something that I would really like to flesh out.
Do you personally prefer big disaster episodes like we're currently getting right now, or the quieter character moments? And which scene out of those two choices were you most excited to see translate from the page when you were reading it to
Yeah,
filming
yeah.
it to the screen?
So I will say this season specifically, I was very excited about the big disaster stuff.
Which
And
one? We got Liz,
there's some
we
stuff.
got
There's some stuff that
Bree.
might be coming up soon. So hold off. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hold off. That's one thing that I'm really excited about. Mostly because you're reading it, you generally have an idea, and you can kind of, when you're reading the script, you're especially for the disasters, you're imagining this entire what it would look like in real life, right? And most of the time, it's somewhere between Hollywood and real life. It's always still very impressive when you're shooting it. This season was one of the few times where I'm reading it and I had an image in my head. Then when we went to go shoot it, it was like, oh wow, this is wow, this is crazy. So that for this season, definitely the disasters. But I think as an and it's all acting, right? But I think the character moments do lend itself to kind of helping you put your training to use, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's kind of like what you grow up and what you literally train in, because killer robots, space disasters, that sort of thing. There's really no preparation for that.
Yeah.
And when we do act, I mean, obviously we're acting, but like it's such a physical thing and it's very fast paced. It feels more James Bond than Shakespeare. But those character moments where it is like, much more intimate and we're really talking about the deep issues, that I think any actor would relish it.
Definitely. And I feel like that's what keeps the audience coming back as well, because there are so many, shows nowadays that they do have the big disasters. They do have the life or death situations. But if you're not invested in the character,
Exactly. Exactly. And I think our writers do a wonderful job of that, of really kind of putting everything out there and like letting the audience decide how they want to go. They're never shoving anything down your throat, which I think is very, very important to craft a complex character.
which episode can fans look forward to that disaster you were talking about?
We just had 902 air. The next one,
Oh,
903. Yeah.
I was going to ask you something about that. I guess I should
Okay.
skip ahead.
Okay.
Fans always really pick apart the trailer for hints.
Yes.
Is a moment presented. I don't know if you've seen the trailer, but there is a
Okay.
moment presented where it looks like Ravi is in danger. Can you comment or say anything about that?
No comment. No comment. I'll get in trouble. I always get in trouble. No comment. No comment. But I respect the fans' intuition and their observation skills. It's
Okay.
it surprises me a lot sometimes where I'm like, wait a minute, how?
Oh
Freeze
yeah.
frame and everything, the zoom ins. I'm like, oh man.
And I saw that pretty soon right after the episode. I was like,
Yeah.
man, you guys did it already? Good. I love it. Like
They're using a VPN to watch on East Coast time, I guess, like everybody's just like getting ahead of it. Um, but yeah, I will say we're all in danger. That's all I'll say.
That's the perfect way to answer the question. There we go. Well, we're excited to see whatever it is because it
Thank
looks
you.
like an incredible episode. But in season 8, towards the end of the episodes, Ravi was
Yeah.
thinking about quitting the 118
Yeah.
after that call with the baby, shortly after we lose Bobby, which I don't need to tell you how everyone has reacted to that.
Rest
But
in peace.
it's what do you think he's feeling with that grief, especially since his last conversation with Bobby was him saying we wouldn't have been able to get through this without you?
Um, it's complicated, right? Because there's this renewed feeling that he has of a family, of like everyone just being wanted and validated,
Yeah.
right? That his mistakes don't define him, but kind of contrasting that with his, you could say his mentor's death, it is, or his father figure's death is, I think going into season 9, or at least at the end of season 8 and going into season 9, he's constantly just kind of thinking of what's the point? People just kind of, people die, we lose people constantly. So even that pay it forward type of thing, I think he's feeling that. I don't think he was as low as he was after that baby incident, but it definitely, he doesn't feel like he completely, is deserving of this. But I will say, having Chim as captain has been like this boon, to the fact that he's kind of taken up that mantle and giving these inspiring speeches. And it does feel like Bobby's legacy lives on through him. And so because of that, I think Robbie's constantly like, I think I can do this.
Yeah. I
I
love
know
that.
I can. Yeah.
And I know, obviously, like you said, everyone is always in danger with this job and with this show, but it doesn't help. We see it perfectly with Harry's character. It doesn't help that now Athena and Hen are in danger again. And it's like, are we
Relaxing.
going to lose more people? Like, are we ever going to get a break here?
Hey, it's the nature of the job, right? Nature
Exactly.
of the job. Put ourselves in the line of fire. Um, but yeah, stay tuned. Who knows what's going
We
to
will.
happen?
We know. We know. In the lab, though, there is one moment I really love that I wanted to ask you about. Ravi is going to get the antiviral despite the US Army telling him to stand down. Why do you think that was such an important for him to, be doing, an important scene to include rather than having Bobby just do it?
I think because it's like usefulness is probably the wrong term to use, but there is this sensation of, I think Ravi and myself, as all of us do, we want to help in whatever way we can. And in that situation, Jim's out, Hen is out, and Bobby's just kind of, he's the one kind of figuring out, okay, I'm going to make sure to take care of this. He can't leave. And I, I, I personally feel like for Robbie to do nothing is just kind of like, it's not what the job's about,
He wants to be of
and go,
service.
he wants to be of service and more than just the job. This is his family, for lack of a better word, right? This is what you do if your brother, your sister is sick. You'll do whatever it is, And in that moment, I think there is the benefit of this like locked down lab where it's like we could die at any moment. So what's the point? I might as well, And he wants to. And I think Ravi's naivete really helps in that he didn't really think about the consequences of it as well, which is, I think, all sacrifice and all self-sacrifice sometimes has that painted with it. But yeah,
That was one of my favorite scenes for him. I just felt like it was so nice
right,
to have him do that and to have him be like, well, come and get me. Like if you're gonna tell me I'm come and
right,
get me, and then
right,
we'll have a whole conversation about
right.
that.
If you're able to come and get me, great. We'll be let out of the lab. Everybody wins. Yeah, it was really badass to film. And that was another situation where on the page reading that you kind of had an idea of what it would look like, but the way that they built it, it was, I mean, that is all a set, right? And like there was no lab that existed there. So the fact that they were able to make that to the smallest detail, hats off to the production design team.
Yeah, it really, I can't imagine. Obviously, I feel like it's like a playground almost for an actor, right? To step on there and be like, everything is here and I can just react. And it's like so
Hey,
different than green screens and all of that.
you can
Which I'm
touch it.
sure sometimes are used too, but like when you have an actual set, it's like
That's amazing. No, it's next level. And there's a conversation with like Mahershala Ali talking about filming Jurassic World, and he's like, with these kinds of movies, you can't really react to anything because it's a dinosaur and it's not real, and so it's like you're staring off into
Yeah.
this blank screen, but you never get that on this show. It's like when the explosion happens, that's a legit explosion. Every reaction is like, whoa, that was, either like, oh, smaller than I thought, or that was way bigger than I thought. And like I can feel the heat on my face. When they drop a car, that's an actual car. Um, Eddie jumping into the water. Ryan didn't, but a stunt double jumped into the ocean. And all of us were just like, legitimate reactions. Um, I wish they were able to hire a whale. That would have been cool, but budget cut down.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Well, it's just too expensive. What are you gonna do?
Was
Uh,
there one that you were most excited to step onto the set for, or most excited to see actually happen, or most shocked by? There's so many
uh,
adjectives I could
sure.
use.
Um, yeah. So there's one next, next episode that I was talking about earlier. In previous years, I'm trying to think what was I the most shocked by? Well, I would say the lab, that entire sequence, all those episodes, that was definitely kind of mind blowing because of the fact that we were there. Um, Doing that was wild. I will say my third episode on the show, I think it's my third episode at the end of season 4. Bobby's been shot. I don't know if you remember this. There's like that
Yes.
sniper guy. We shot him. And so Athena, myself, I think Buck, the three of us go in and like we rescue him, right? That was really, I guess, a mixture of shock and mixture of joy and mixture of confusion and fear, all of those things. Because that was the first time I had gone into like this burn room. Um, and that was literally a room with a bunch of like flame bars everywhere. And when they lit it up, it's like this room is on fire. And the fact that I was wearing the whole, the helmet, the face shield, the SCBA, everything, the liners, all of that, and going into that, that was definitely like, I can't believe I'm here. You know, I'm in a room that's on fire. I'm playing a fireman. So that was definitely a surprise.
Yeah, that was such, first of all, such a good episode. Like, it was so well done. I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what that says about me, but I know exactly which one you're
Oh,
talking.
you're a fan. Hey, heck yeah.
And going off of that, actually, because I imagine there's nothing more, to get you in character, to get you in
Yeah.
the headspace than putting on the gear. But is there a small detail for you that every time you see it or you put it on or anything like that, you're like, this is Ravi. Like, this is what I will always associate with Ravi.
There's a lot of, I think it's a combination of things with like all the props that we wear. One thing that I find always unique, the Velcro is slightly off on my knee pads. That in our firefighting outfit, like
Yeah.
it should be like on, but I don't know because of just the way that my knee is in proportion to this thing. The Velcro is just always slightly off,
Yeah.
and that's how I always know the suit is mine because it's
Yeah, I was
never
just gonna say,
exactly
always
on.
feels
So I'm
weird.
like, oh, okay, this is me. This is mine. But just a little thing like that, you
Yeah.
know. There's also a watch that I wear. It used to be an Apple Watch. Now it's an Apple Watch Ultra. So probably spent a little bit of money.
He's earned it after everything he's been through.
Exactly. Little treat yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just those kinds of things, those little things that kind of
I
always
always
make me.
such a nerd. I love the like small details for
Yeah.
like stuff. I love hearing the behind the scenes and stuff the audience wouldn't necessarily notice. But going
I'm
into season 9, few fun questions for you. How do you think Ravi would have done with this space disaster if he was up?
sure he would have been. I don't think Robbie's the type of person who likes being off the ground. I don't think he's a big heights guy. I'm okay with heights, but I think the character is not that much of a fan with heights. Um, that being said, well, no, yeah, I think he would have had a little mini freak out. He would be like, "Whoa, what is going on?" But he would have gone into hero mode and done what needs to be done. Uh, I personally, if I went to space, I would have loved it. I love space. I love science fiction, and I just love kind of everything associated with it. So it would have been fun.
Did
But
you
it
get to
seems like
see any of the space sets?
Yeah. That was another thing. In these episodes where I'm reading on the script, I'm like, how are they going to build this capsule and all that? I was like, I had to like step into it, and I mean, it was phenomenal. Like it looks like an actual capsule. Every single detail, it's like it was wild. It was great.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
again an actor's playground, right? I know you
So,
weren't in the
so true.
scenes, but like to be
Yeah.
there and see that type of thing must have been
Oh, definitely.
incredible.
It's real, and like how grateful you are, how lucky you are. Just this is what you do for work. It's amazing.
And one of my favorite moments from episode 2 was the everyday friends segment. What was it
Okay.
like to see how that came out after filming it?
Uh, that was one thing where I'm reading it on the page, translating it. There were certain aspects where I'm like, oh, okay, this is how we cut it together. I like it. But it was solid. It was a joy to film, and that's all I can say about it.
It's like imagining your character on TV must have been such a like
Yes, it was like I tried to do it in a way where I'm like, maybe he's not that media trained. Maybe he's not that. But then I was just kind of like, oh, wait. I started getting in my head a little bit where I'm like, oh, how far should I take it? How much should I pare it down? But it turned out good. It
it turned
was
out perfect. It was 10 out of 10.
with the 118. We're the best looking firefighting squad in California. Like it's awesome.
I think everyone can agree on that. But I know fans really do want to see a love interest for Ravi. So I wanted
Yeah,
to ask, obviously, I know if there is, you're not going to tell me. You can't give
sure,
anything away. Not that I'd want you to spoil it, but
sure.
if you could kind of think of what Ravi would want in an ideal partner for a relationship, what comes to mind? What is he looking for? And is that something you'd like to explore? Is there any love interest you think would be good for him?
Yeah. I don't know if I could say anyone that would be legitimately good for him right now, but that's definitely something that I'd want to explore. I think that always adds a level of depth to the character. It puts them in a situation where even the character himself, hasn't found themselves before. Um, what would I want? What would Ravi want in an ideal partner? I think Ravi really wants someone who likes to have fun, you know? Someone who I think he's that type of guy. He's ready to go out. He's ready to, whatever it may be, like go to a farmer's market. He likes to stay active and like he's very sociable. And so somebody who would meet him on that level, I think is a very, very important thing. In addition to all the other normal green flags, loyalty, and like she's a nice person and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Love, give him a love interest. I need more
Yes.
ships on this show. And once it happens, the shippers go hard for it. So
Can't wait for the scene packs to come out.
I'm looking forward in season 9. I'm not sure what you're up to shooting, but from what you know so far,
Yeah.
can you preview or describe the moment that you are most proud of Ravi for?
Um, yeah, he has to. There's a moment where there's a moment where we're all, there's a moment where it feels like we're in the lab again. I'll just say that. I think that's the best way to describe it. Yeah.
That hit me a little too hard.
Yeah. Good,
Um,
good, good.
you're going to be getting comments for that one.
Yeah. Like what?
You didn't
It
need that
feels
today.
like that. It definitely feels like that.
Yeah. And last quick question for you is not actually my question. It
Okay.
is a question from one of your co-stars who is going to
Oh.
remain a mystery, but asked me to ask you, what is Ravi's skincare routine?
Ravi's skincare routine.
You got high praise from this co-star.
Oh, right on. That stumped me. I never really thought about Ravi's skincare routine. I have my skincare routine, but I'll say this. Ravi definitely moisturizes. All right. He loves cocoa butter. He puts that all over, locks the moisture in. Um, And he definitely uses sunscreen. Ravi definitely uses sunscreen every day, even at night. He sleeps with it on because, that first ray of sunshine in the morning, that's sun damage. Can't have that. um, this is a very interesting question. I'm trying to think. I think, and you know what? I'll cap it off with this. I think occasionally, yeah. Yeah, Ravi will put on a face mask after a long day, after he's been in the dust, he's
Who
been
could
in the
blame you?
fire. His skin is feeling a little raw. That face mask, that's not, messing up the skin, messing up the pores. So put on a face mask, listen to some music, maybe watch some TikToks, just chill out.
You have to do some investigating on set.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Great.
Thank you so much
Great.
for doing this. Seriously, I really appreciate your time, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you, Sophia. Appreciate it. This is really, really fun.